Hi, fifth graders. Today we're going to go on to lesson 4.4 in Moving Straight Ahead. This is the final lesson in Moving Straight Ahead. So I want you to think about everything we've put into what we've done so far. And this is kind of the title of the lesson, putting it all together, writing equations for linear relationships. So just like on Friday, I have the ACE questions here from last week. I'll move myself here so you can see. And you can press pause on these if you want to correct your ACE. Make sure that you are correcting your classwork each day as well. I will show you again at the end of the video how to do that. There was a lot of ACE this time. All right, so our main question today is, what information do you need to write an equation for a linear relationship? Is the expression for the dependent variable always the same? Remember, the dependent variable is the one that depends on the independent. So if you're talking about time and money, the money will be dependent. How much you make depends on how long you have been working. So throughout this unit, you have learned several ways to model linear relationships. You have also learned ways to move back and forth between tables, graphs, and equations to solve problems. The next problem pulls together some of these ideas, together. All right, so we have I think there's 3 questions today. So the first one is Chantal's birthday. Her grandfather gave her some money as a birthday gift. Chantal plans to put her birthday money in a safe place and add part of her allowance to it each week. Her sister Shanice wants to know how much their grandfather gave her and how much of her allowance she is planning to save each week. As usual, Chantal does not answer her sister directly. Instead, she wants to figure out the answer for herself. She gives these clues. After 5 weeks, I will have saved a total of 175. After 8 weeks, I will have saved 190. How much of her allowance is she saving each week? How much birthday money did her grandfather give her? And then write an equation. So in the equation, again, they are going to want you to write it in y equals mx plus b. Okay, so in this situation, think about what this total number would be. Would that be y? Or would that be x? If we're talking about a total, it's going to be y. The x would then be what? The money is the dependent variable. The x is going to be the independent variable, and that's going to be time. So in this case, they're talking about weeks. So write the equation. They say n weeks, so then this x would become an n. What information do the y-intercept and the coefficient represent? So what does the y-intercept represent, and what does the coefficient represent? Okay, and for our next question, we are talking about the weather. In the United States, temperature is measured using the Fahrenheit scale. Some countries, like Canada, use the Celsius temperature scale. In cities near the border, the weather forecast presents the temperature using both. So we're given the situation of the weather here, and they're giving us some information. Water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius, which is 32 degrees. Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius, which is 212 degrees Fahrenheit. Use this information to write an equation relating Fahrenheit to Celsius. So again, you're going to use that same equation. And in this case, we're talking about time and temperature. I'm sorry, no, we are not talking about time and temperature. We are talking about Celsius and Fahrenheit. So they're telling us it's linear. Right here, that means we can use this equation. So here, if we know water freezes at 0, what could we use? Where could we put that in our equation? Use this information to write an equation. Then how do you find the y-intercept? What does the y-intercept tell you about this situation? A news website uses the image below to display the weather forecast. Some of the temperatures are missing. Use your equation to find the missing temperatures. And question C says, write an equation that gives the perimeter P of the nth figure. So they're saying nth, that means just we could use that to write an equation that will give us that same thing, right? We're still talking about y equals mx plus b. In this case, they are telling us that the perimeter would be the y. Perimeter equals coefficient times n, in this case, plus b. Does there have to be a b? If there's not a b, b is 0. Okay, here it says compare the equation with that of your classmates. We will not be able to do this one unless you have a friend you can call that's in your group. You're welcome to do that. Is the relationship linear? Explain. Hachi observed there was an interesting pattern for the number of square tiles needed to build each figure. What pattern might she have observed? Write an equation that gives the number of square tiles in the nth figure. So she's talking here about area. Is that relationship linear? And I believe that is all our work for today. Let me double check. Oh, I lied. There is a question D. Look back at the equations you wrote for question A, part 3, question B, part 1, and question C, part 1. So that means look at the equations that you wrote for question A, question B, and question C. Without graphing any of them, describe what the graph would look like. Which variable would be on the x? Which would be on the y? Would it be positive or negative slope? Then D2, when is it helpful to represent a relationship as an equation or a table? I don't know why that just went to the next slide. When is it helpful to represent a relationship as an equation, as a table, and as a graph? So when do you think it's helpful to make an equation? When do you think it's helpful to make a graph? When do you think it's helpful to make a table? And that is the lesson for today. I will go back over here in investigation 4 to show you a few things. Number 1, I wanted to make sure you saw that you have the peek at the week at the top. I did email this home. This you can use to see what you need to do each week. If you choose to work ahead, that's your choice. But this is what needs to be accomplished by the end of the week. You could print this and put it on your refrigerator, or you could just look at it online. So here's today. It does say watch the video lesson first, and it gives you the ACE problems that you need to complete. You can see tomorrow we will have a Google Meet, and it gives you a meeting code. You go to meet.google.com, say join a meeting, and put in that code. So that's number 1. You can see we will be having our test on Monday. Sorry, that's my dog. She's being annoying. Naughty puppy. Bella, no. And in investigation 4, again, here is where you're correcting your work. Down here is the lesson key. There's some extra videos up here. Those are optional to watch. And I will be back and talk to you again tomorrow. Have a good day.